talking to David, and it's really interesting. He's an artist, and he's been creating happy, accessible art since 1992, and all of his art is made with found, reused, or donated materials, very eco-friendly. From 1993 to 1999, he did a Left for the Taking project, which he'll explain later, I assume. And he's a local artist that can be seen driving around Berlin in his painted car, which I think I've seen. And he went to Conestoga and Millersville University. So give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Yes, I did go to school here. This room is a lot different. There's like canes and stuff. It was really nasty. No carpeting, no nice tables, no nice polished seats like college. To give you an example, a background is like what it was like for me. I was a real bad student. Looking back, I didn't study very much, and I found out in 11th grade that I had dyslexia. So schoolwork was like brutal. Like reading, writing was brutal to me, and I didn't quite understand why, and that's the reason why. My grades were about C average, literally. The SAT scores, the big credit SAT scores, untimed test, I took them twice, untimed, 450. The combined number was 450. The whole number. You get 200 points for my name. So I was really not too bright, math, science-wise, English-wise. Creatively, I was working in the basement with my dad's workshop when I was like, as soon as I could get up to the workbench, I was doing that. I was pounding on stuff. I was up in the kitchen making food. My mother would always tell me, I could barely reach the gas, the knobs of the stove. I'm going to be leaving. Just don't burn the house down. Do whatever you want. I'm like, great. So I applied to 7 colleges. I got 6. Thank you for sharing, but you really aren't going to be going to school here. That's all there is to it. I got 1 admission to Millersville. We did a sit down in the admissions office. It's like, okay, here we go. There's no way. He looks at my grades. Grades suck, kid. Your SAT scores really aren't too great. But they had a program for minority students. I fit into the minority as being half Mexican, so I fit into that group. So he said, in 2 weeks we're going to have a program here, and you're in college. I'm just going to let you in. I'm going to bypass all this other stuff. I think you'll do well. Just don't tell anybody, or it's my job. Really. I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. I literally just got walked into the college. I literally talked myself in, literally. So the grades really didn't matter. I did a few other extracurricular activities, like with the community and stuff like that. So 2 weeks out of Conestoga, I'm in college with 120 students. And the first day they sat us down in a room just like this, and they said, look to your left, look to your right. In 4 years, that person will not be here. Well, they were right. Out of 120 people, 4 of us graduated. And I'm one of 4. Literally 4 kids. So I was off and running. I had a new chance to do whatever I wanted to do. I didn't know what I was going to do still. It took me a year. There, professor sat me down in a studio art class, and he said, you're off swimming in the deep end, kid. This is a compliment. You got to take more work, more classes. You'll do really well. So I did, and I got hooked. I failed my math classes. I failed all my science classes. I take them all twice. I even failed music class. Take that again. So I was really not, my head wasn't wired that way. My head was wired making stuff 3D or 2D, I wasn't wired doing math and English and science. It's just not the way I was my head was together with that. So I finished my first college, out of college, a couple months out, I applied to Mount Gretna Art Show. It's right above Lancaster. It's an hour north above Lancaster. Mount Gretna, it's an outdoor show every year. There's 500 vendors. This is like big time now, right? You got juried in, which means you sent slides or pictures in, your blah, 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 and a little money, and then you're in. So I went to my painting advisor and I said, yeah, he's a short little Italian guy, 5'1". His paintings were going for $5,000 a pop down in Lancaster. You know, he was selling nice landscapes. And he said, you got into Mount Gretna. I said, yeah, I don't know what. He said, all right, good luck. And I got up there, 20-some thousand people just to show up with checkbooks to buy art for the weekend. And believe me, I went home with a stack of money. And I thought, wow, this is great. And then Monday rolled around. And I ended up, I had to get a regular job. And I had a regular job for quite a while. So I kept doing my work at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to work to my regular job. And about 1994, like the Please Take the Art project came along in my head. I thought, well, all these real estate agents and everybody's putting up their signs, you know, outside around here. So I decided to put paintings up and drawings up and see what happens. Just for hell, because I have a crappy job at the grocery store and I'm driving home and I want to see some art on my way home because I really hate my job. And I really would hate any job, doing any type of work. My sister's a doctor. I would hate doing that. Making tons of money, working 30-hour shifts, doing that. I hate doing that. I want to do what I want to do. The first paintings were up for 6 weeks. After that, they started disappearing. And opened the trunk to my mom's car one day, and there was 10 of them in there, and she said, you gotta get paid for your work. You can't do this. You gotta get paid for it. I was like, do you realize there's over 100 pieces out there? There's only 10. She said, I can't compete with you. So, over the years, I left over 5,000 pieces. We're talking 7 feet high, everywhere, all over South Street, all over Old City, Philadelphia, San Francisco Bay Area, Poland, Austria, the steps of the Art Museum in Philly, all over, you know, Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, which led to a lot of nice emails later on, and some mail later on saying, we have your work now. That they're hanging in my office and they're hanging in my home and whatnot, worldwide. This is before email was big. This is before the internet really took off. This is before any of that stuff. And the street art was removable or stealable. Because I don't run fast. A lot of street artists, almost all of them get caught. You talk to them long enough, they all get caught. Yeah, they have big shows in the big museums, and yeah, they're fined hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, you know, I don't run fast, and I don't do roll of jail. So I'm not going to do it that way. Around 2007 came along, and it was a big, huge shift in my work. I had an accident in December of 2007. My boss came to me one day and said, you hadn't had vacation all year. You got to use it or lose it. Christmas vacation. You're having Christmas vacation. You're going to go down to Florida and see your family, okay? All right, I'll go to Florida if you really insist to see my family. Well, who's going to do my job? Don't worry about it. We'll fill in. I don't care. It's Christmas. You go down there. So I flew down there, had Christmas. 2 days before I was supposed to fly home, I'm on my sister's bicycle. I'm going to go get some lunch. I'm going to ride into town and get some lunch. Never made it to lunch. I just danced with a 14-wheeler in a very busy intersection. And a 14-wheeler is the equivalency of a Coca-Cola truck. You ever see a Coca-Cola truck with the big extent, you know, the trailer and everything. The first wheel missed me. The second wheel went right over me. Missed my pelvis by about a half an inch. I somehow managed to get out of the way of the rest of the truck that was coming towards me, and they medevaced me, and they did CPR en route. Let's just put it that way. What had happened was my femoral artery was severed by the femur bone coming through, and I had managed to stick my hand into the wound and slow the blood down enough till the medics got to me. The report shows I had no pulse when they got to me. I was dead. You got a minute of bleed out time, and you got a minute of adrenaline time. You got 2 minutes of life. And then you're dead. You're done. They zip you up in one of those little bags. You're done. Why am I still here? My surgeon says, why are you still here in the morning? I have no idea. I wasn't supposed to make it through the night. So I spent a couple months there in hospital amongst the dead and the dying. And a nurse came up to me one night and said, you know, you got a story to tell. You got to tell it. And the seed was planted. And after several years, I did write the book, One Breath at a Time, and it's available through my website, or it's a download off my website for $1 as a PDF file. It has all the blood and guts and detours. It has the journal that my sisters kept while in ICU that I have not read and I will never read. It has pictures of drawings I did, and it has my journal, and it has how I cope with this accident every day. It is a major turning point. It's the kind of thing now, if my coffee takes 2 more minutes than usual, oh well. If there's traffic, oh well. I really don't care. And it has changed my life. So, I get up, my typical day, I get up in the morning. I could be anywhere from, last week was 1:30 to 2:30 in the morning, after getting maybe 1 hour sleep, 15 minutes of sleep, getting a full REM sleep in that time. I go to sleep, I'll wake up in about 10 or 15 minutes and I've hit REM sleep already and I'm woken up. That's called sleep deprivation. I have no problem going to sleep, staying asleep. That's the problem. I have a few friends that have PTSD like me, and they have the same problem. I deal with it. I use it to my advantage. I draw at 3 o'clock in the morning in bed with my dog next to me. Noelle, she's on the cover. She's missing the front right leg. She was hit by a car and left for dead. Somebody scooped her up and brought her into the vet, and they saved her life. So we have similar stories. She rescued me and I rescued her right back. So she's at home right now. I created this book, and I created this book right after I got home. The Red Heart book. This is dedicated to my mom died of cancer a year and 2 weeks before my accident. I saw her in the hospital. She came to my bed as in a vision, you know. She actually came to my bed. She'd already been dead, and so I knew I had to do the book. There's a lot of people that died in that ICU next to me, so there's a lot of trauma there. I spent 4.5 months in the hospital in Florida. I was only supposed to be there 5 days. I got a long extended vacation. And I came back and I told my boss, I called her up and I said, I ain't coming back to work ever. I ain't ever coming back to work for anybody. I'm going to do, she said, fine. That's fine. So I did. And it's been 5 years doing a full-time art gig, and it's been a hell of a ride. Yeah, I am not typical starving artist. I am not. Let's get that clear. I have plenty of food. I have plenty of money. I have just enough to do what I need to do for that day. I stay in the moment. I stay as much as I can in the moment, because next week, next year, that's not here yet. I don't have to worry about that, thank goodness. I do a lot of drawings. Right now, I'm working on a project for the next big show. I don't even have a location for it. I have a proposal, and I'm working with a director that said she'd help me for a place in mind. I'm not going to tell you the place, because this place is going to take the proposal is 10,000 pieces of artwork, 10,000 drawings, and they're all going to be about 8.5 by 11. Right now, I have about half of that at home, and by the year end, I'll have the other half. We work with all sorts of materials. These sets of drawings, one day, a woman, out of the blue, just mailed me 2 sketchbooks and 2 sets of really nice German marking pens. And out of the blue, just because I like your work, and I just, here, have a nice day. I'm like, great, thanks. So, some of the drawings in here came from that, and you can pass those around if you want, and I'll split them up. So stuff just happens to come to me. People leave stuff on my doorstep. I've come home and had materials left on my doorstep. The little sculpture guys, this one's big. I've made them 4/16 high, 5/16 high. They fit inside of matchboxes. The whole height of the sculpture is 4/16 high. That's called 4, 5, 6 colors on that piece of sculpture with metal, wood, and thread fibers. But this one's a little bigger. This one's made out of chopsticks from my takeout dinner, scraps of wood, blocks of wood, some thread, some spent paintbrushes, and a lot of paint, and a really cool glue I found that sets up in about 5 seconds. So I work in a lot of different materials. There's stuff in my yard. The sculptures that are in my yard I've found all over from the neighborhood. And there's stuff that's been scattered out now. I do the dollar art project still. The dollar art came about from a show I did in South Street. All the art is $1. And the gallery closed down, and then I transferred it to Facebook. And after 3 days, I was mailing art to the UK, Scotland, Norway. And what it is $1. You send me $1 in a self-addressed stamp envelope, and I'll mail you back an original drawing. You'll get the envelope all drawn over, and inside will be an original piece. I've hit most of every 50 states. I've gone to China. I've mailed stuff to China, Africa, Norway, Scotland, France, Germany, England, Spain, I forget. There's about 15 to 18 countries doing that. Not just through Facebook. So I get a lot of work through Facebook. Not only through that, but through shows. The last show I got is in Boyertown, and I don't know how. Right now, I don't know how I get the gigs. I really don't. My paid advisor in college said, "Just keep doing your work, and the phone will ring." Yeah, right, sure. That's how he got his teaching job. They kept calling him and bugging him, and he finally got to, teach at a university. So the phone rang. The phone rang one day to come here and speak to you guys. I was literally on the couch with my dog drawing, and the phone rang. It's like, "You want to come talk to Career Day?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" I don't know how you got my number, but thanks. So the show in Boyertown, Boyertown, USA. It was like, I was there for the first time a few weeks ago. Like, holy man, there's a lot of bears around here, but believe it or not, that show has 60 people in it, and it's going worldwide. The next stop, Amsterdam. The stop before this was in England. I have from that show, I have stuff that's going to go. There's also another show in a gallery, ongoing basis, not for a month. Usually it's for a month. In Baltimore. The Still Life Gallery. If you go to their website, it's all like, peel art. It's like beautiful oranges and peaches, still life, and you know, landscapes, and there's no monsters, there's no teeth, there's no scribble pen and ink stuff, there's nothing like that. And I mailed her this big box, and after that I saw the website, like, I'm gonna get this stuff back in a couple of days, I know it. In a couple of days she said, oh, you sold a whole bunch of your work. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? So she sent me a check. There's work at the Sideshow gift shop in Baltimore. It's a visionary art museum. If you have not been to the visionary art museum, if you like to go see that kind of stuff, it's all outsider work. There's about 3 buildings down there, and their gift shop is probably twice the size of this room. Huge. Yeah, it's in Baltimore. It's right by the Inner Harbor. Yeah. It's so cool. That's one of my stomping grounds. I love that place. They bought up, the first time I went down there for their flea market to sell your work with a little table, you know, the director came over from the gift shop and he said, I want that box, I want that box, I want that box, I want... He bought up my whole table. I went home with a little box of these. That's it. I came home with an empty car and a big check. And that's how I got into the other gallery down there. She bought up some work. And sometimes it just happens by doing the work. I saw an article in Reader's Digest, and like, we have a nice little cafe out in Denver, pay whatever you want, you could eat organic, fresh, local food, and like, oh boy, great. Pay whatever you want. It's like, oh, I'm going to give them a call. Found their website, call them up, and I got an actually live voice on the phone. And she says, yeah, how would you like to have a show in 2 months? I'm like, yeah,